woman has a version of herself that no one can fool. A version that sees the lie hidden behind the compliment, the emptiness behind the charm, the inconsistency behind the intensity. A version that notices the shift before the words change, who feels the distance before it's spoken, who catches the red flag before it becomes a wound. A version who walks away before the damage begins, who protects her peace before it's threatened, who chooses herself before anyone gets the chance to use her. Most women only meet this version after their heart has been broken, after they've given too many chances, after they've forgiven things that never should have happened. Most women find her after the pain. But you don't have to wait until you're shattered to become her. Right now, in this moment, you are awakening into the woman who sees clearly, who moves slowly, who trusts actions over words, who honors her standards without apology. The woman who can't be manipulated, played, confused, or misled because she finally understands her worth and refuses to forget it. And once you meet this version of yourself, you never go back. Trust patterns over promises. A woman who sees behavior cannot be misled. When you begin paying attention to patterns, something changes inside you. You stop getting carried away by sweet messages and late-night confessions. You stop believing promises made during emotional moments. You stop imagining potential, and you start looking at reality. Because words are easy, attention is easy, promises are easy, but repeating the same respectful behavior over and over again, that cannot be faked. A person can copy affection for a few days. They can copy effort when they feel they are losing you. They can copy interest when they want something from you, but they cannot copy real consistency. Real consistency comes from character, not desire. When you look at a person with this awareness, you begin asking yourself simple but important questions. Does he show up only when he feels lonely? Does he disappear the moment things get serious? Does he speak beautifully but behave carelessly? Does he say he cares but never adjust his actions? Does he promise change but repeats the same cycle? These are not small things. These are patterns. And patterns are the truth your heart needs to see, even when your feelings try to hide it. Feelings make you hope, but patterns make you understand. Feelings make you imagine what could be, but patterns show you what actually is. Feelings can be confused by charm, but patterns expose the reality behind the charm. The moment you shift from listening to his words to watching his habits, you gain a kind of inner strength that cannot be manipulated. You no longer fall for intensity. You no longer melt at apologies. You no longer get attached to temporary change. You no longer lose yourself in promises about the future. Because you have learned something important. If the behavior does not match the words mean nothing. This awareness builds a quiet power inside you, a calm wisdom, a steady clarity. It protects you from being misled. Because you are no longer guided by emotions alone, you are guided by evidence, by actions, by reality. And reality always shows itself, and not in one moment, but over time. Through patterns that never lie, when you learn to trust patterns instead of promises, you become a woman who cannot be fooled, cannot be blindsided, cannot be misled, because the truth is always there. You just have to watch what keeps repeating. Slow women see everything. A woman who doesn't rush connection cannot be manipulated. When you stop rushing connection, you begin to see things you were blind to before. Most women get hurt not because they loved, but because they moved too fast. They trusted too quickly, opened their heart too quickly, believed too quickly, and gave access to someone they barely knew. Manipulators survive on speed because speed creates confusion. When everything is happening fast, you don't have time to observe. You don't have time to think. You don't have time to understand their true intentions. You only feel the intensity, not the reality behind it. When a woman slows down, everything becomes clear. She notices tone. She notices behavior. She notices emotional shifts. She notices small lies hidden in jokes. She notices when someone is interested in her and when someone is only interested in the attention she gives. She notices if someone is consistent only at the beginning and then becomes lazy once they feel secure. She notices when someone's actions stop matching their words. She notices when a person is performing effort instead of naturally living it. Moving slowly creates a natural filter. People who are genuine stay steady. People who are pretending start slipping. People who actually care remain patient. People who only wanted quick access start showing frustration. Manipulators hate slow women because they cannot hide behind excitement, romance, or emotional pressure. Their charm loses power when you slow the pace down. Their tricks fall apart when you don't react instantly. Their emotional control disappears when you are not rushing to bond. A woman who moves slowly gets time to understand who she is letting into her life. She gets time to watch how someone responds to boundaries. She gets time to see whether someone respects her pace or pushes her to move faster. She gets time to observe how they behave when they are not trying to impress her. She gets time to see their character when the excitement fades. She gets time to see if they are being real or simply acting. Slowing down does not mean being cold or distant. It means protecting your heart from entering emotional depth with someone who might not be safe for you. It means giving yourself space to think clearly. It means allowing actions to reveal truth. It means choosing clarity over chemistry and wisdom over speed. When you refuse to rush connection, you become harder to mislead because your mind stays awake while your heart opens slowly. You are no longer blinded by the honeymoon phase. You are no longer impressed by fast affection. You are no longer controlled by pressure or emotional intensity. You become a woman who sees every detail, every inconsistency, every shift, every sign. And once you can see clearly, no one can manipulate you. The woman who doesn't need validation cannot be controlled. A woman becomes truly unmanipulable the moment she stops seeking validation from anyone. Most emotional players don't control women through strength. They control them through weakness. The weakness of wanting to feel approved, wanted, chosen, praised, or admired. When a woman needs validation, she becomes vulnerable to anyone who knows how to give it temporarily and take it away when it benefits them. They compliment her to pull her close, then criticize her to keep her uncertain. They give her attention to make her happy, then withdraw it to keep her anxious. This cycle only works on a woman who depends on someone else to tell her she is enough. But everything changes when she learns to validate herself, when she looks in the mirror and knows she is worthy without needing someone to say it, when she accepts her flaws and strengths without waiting for approval, when she grows comfortable in her own presence, when she stops using love from others to fill the empty parts inside her. This kind of woman becomes powerful because she cannot be emotionally starved into accepting less than she deserves. She cannot be pulled into games using affection. She cannot be tricked by someone who knows her soft spots. When you no longer need someone to remind you that you're beautiful, you stop falling for shallow compliments. When you no longer rely on someone to make you feel special, you stop chasing their attention. When you no longer depend on someone's words to feel valuable, you stop tolerating disrespect. Suddenly, you don't get shaken when someone pulls back. You don't panic when someone becomes distant. You don't lose your sense of self when someone disapproves of your choices. You don't question your worth simply because someone is inconsistent. Self-validation gives you emotional independence. And emotional independence is the foundation of strength. It means your mood is not controlled by someone's behavior. It means you don't cling to people who treat you poorly because you don't fear being alone. It means you don't fall for someone who offers you attention only when it suits them. It means you don't let someone make you feel like you're too much or not enough just to gain control. When you become a woman who validates herself, you stop negotiating your worth. You stop settling for crumbs because you no longer need someone to feed your self-esteem. You stop giving chances to people who only show up when they want something from you. You stop trying to prove your value to someone who never deserved you. Instead of chasing love, you choose love that feels safe, honest, and consistent because you are no longer impressed by emotional games. This is the shift that protects you from manipulation, when what someone gives you emotionally is a gift, not a requirement. When you enjoy affection, but you are not enslaved by it. When you appreciate compliments, but they do not define you. When you like being valued, but you are not desperate for it. A woman like this is calm, grounded, full, and unshakable. She cannot be controlled, fooled, or misled because her sense of worth comes from within, not from anyone who may try to use it against her. Study how he treats others. A woman who reads character sees the truth before it reaches her. A woman becomes truly wise when she stops judging a man only by how he treats her and begins observing how he treats the world around him. Manipulators know exactly how to behave in front of the person they want to impress. They can be charming, gentle, respectful, and emotionally present when they want something from you. But that version of them is not the full truth. It is a performance. It is the highlight reel. It is the image they want you to believe. The real truth of a person shows in the moments when there is no reward attached to their behavior. It shows in the way he talks to the waiter who brings the wrong order. It shows in how he treats his family when he's frustrated. It shows in the way he speaks about his ex. Does he take responsibility or does he blame her for everything? It shows in how he responds to people who cannot offer him attention, status, or benefit. It shows when he makes promises to others. Does he keep them or does he forget as soon as the excitement dies? A woman with awareness pays attention to these things because she understands something important. The way he treats others will one day be the way he treats her. If he disrespects people behind their backs, he will eventually disrespect her. If he lies easily to others, he will eventually lie to her. If he is gentle only when he wants affection, but cold when he's irritated, she knows this pattern will come back to her. If he is kind to her, but arrogant with strangers, that kindness has an expiry date. If he speaks beautifully to her, but cruelly to the people he works with, that cruelty is hiding behind the charm, waiting for the moment he feels too comfortable. A woman with wisdom does not get blinded by romance. She does not get carried away by chemistry. She does not believe she is the exception to someone's character. She understands that character is not how a man treats you on his best days. Character is how he treats others on his worst days. And so she quietly observes the moments when he isn't performing. She observes how he reacts when things don't go his way. She observes whether he treats people with basic decency. She observes how he handles disappointment, stress, and anger. She observes how he acts when no one is watching because that is who he truly is. This level of awareness protects her from being misled because she is no longer choosing a man based on how much he likes her. She is choosing him based on who he is as a human being. She no longer falls for charm that disappears once the excitement fades. She no longer believes she can fix or change someone whose character is already revealing itself through his actions. She no longer accepts a man who behaves like a king in her presence but a villain everywhere else. A woman who studies how a man treats others becomes immune to manipulation because she sees the full picture. She sees the real version, not the edited version. And the moment she sees the truth, she quietly steps away from anything that doesn't match the respect, kindness, and integrity she deserves. Never explain your standards. A woman who doesn't justify herself cannot be manipulated into lowering her worth. One of the most powerful forms of strength a woman can develop is the ability to hold her standards without explaining them. A woman becomes deeply vulnerable to manipulation when she feels the need to justify why she deserves respect, honesty, consistency, or clarity. The moment she starts defending her boundaries, she accidentally gives the other person power over them. Manipulators know this. They don't attack your standards directly, they attack your confidence in your standards. They make you feel guilty for wanting the bare minimum. They make you feel dramatic for reacting to disrespect. They make you feel too much for having needs. They make you question whether your expectations are unrealistic, when in reality, they are basic and healthy. But everything changes when a woman stops explaining herself, when she holds her values silently and firmly, when she stops arguing about what she deserves, when she realizes she does not need to convince anyone that her boundaries matter. A woman who embraces this mindset understands that her standards are reflections of her self-respect. They are not up for debate. They are not negotiable. They are not flexible just because someone else cannot meet them. She does not soften them to keep someone close. She does not shrink them to avoid conflict. She does not bend them out of fear of being alone. When she says she needs communication, she means it. When she says she will not accept disrespect, she stands on it. When she says broken trust cannot be repaired by empty words, she follows through. When she says she needs consistency, she does not settle for temporary effort. And she doesn't give long speeches about why. She simply honors her needs and expects the right person to naturally align with them. The wrong person will call her demanding. The right person will see her as clear. This quiet firmness makes her unmanipulable because manipulators rely on emotional convincing. They need to twist your thinking. They need to confuse your sense of worth. They need to make you feel unreasonable, so you lower your standards to match their behavior. But when a woman refuses to explain herself, their strategy collapses. There is no insecurity to exploit, no self-doubt to manipulate, no weakness to push. She becomes the kind of woman who doesn't tolerate bare minimum behavior disguised as effort. She becomes the kind of woman who doesn't accept almost love or maybe loyalty. She becomes the kind of woman who expects mature communication and real responsibility, not excuses and pressure. A woman with silent standards is powerful because she gives people the freedom to stay or leave. She doesn't trap anyone with emotional neediness, and she doesn't cage herself in fear of abandonment. She understands that the right man will rise to meet her level without feeling threatened, and the wrong man will leave because he cannot use her softness against her. Either way, she wins. She either gets a real connection, or she removes someone who never had good intentions to begin with. When you stop explaining your standards, you stop attracting people who want to take advantage of you, and you start attracting people who respect you. Your life becomes calmer, your relationships become healthier, and your heart becomes safer because your standards act as a filter that protects you without you having to fight for yourself. You simply stand in your worth, and your worth does the talking for you. Disconnect early. A woman who walks away at the first red flag cannot be played. A woman becomes truly unmanipulable the moment she learns to disconnect early. Not after the damage, not after being drained, not after losing pieces of herself, but at the first sign that something is not right. Most emotional pain doesn't come from the final betrayal. It comes from the small red flags she ignored in the beginning, the tiny lies that she excused, the sudden coldness she blamed on stress, the shifts in tone she told herself were temporary, the inconsistent behavior she tried to justify because she cared. Every time she gave the benefit of the doubt to someone who didn't deserve it, she unknowingly gave away a little bit more of her power. When a woman learns to disconnect at the first red flag, she steps into a new level of emotional strength. She doesn't wait for someone to prove that they are a bad choice. She trusts her intuition the first time it whispers that something feels wrong. She pays attention when someone's actions suddenly shift. She listens when her heart feels uneasy, even if her emotions want to stay. She doesn't cling to potential. She doesn't hang on to memories. She doesn't wait for excuses to make sense. She doesn't hope for someone to magically change. She respects her peace more than her attachment. Manipulators depend on confusion. They depend on a woman questioning herself. They depend on her holding on because she is afraid to lose the connection. They depend on her caring too much to walk away. They depend on her being patient, forgiving, understanding, and emotionally generous even when they are inconsistent. But when a woman can disconnect early, their entire strategy dies instantly. She cuts the emotional rope before they can tie it around her. She takes away the power they plan to use. She ends the cycle before it even begins. Disconnecting early doesn't mean she has no heart. It means her heart has grown wise. It means she finally understands that love without respect is dangerous. Attention without consistency is manipulation. Effort without stability is temporary. And chemistry without safety is a trap. She knows that the longer she stays in unclear situations, the more power she loses. So she chooses clarity over comfort. She chooses peace over potential. She chooses herself over someone who cannot show up. A woman who can walk away early becomes rare. She becomes mysterious. She becomes powerful. She becomes the kind of woman men cannot toy with because she never gives them enough time to play games. She becomes the kind of woman who doesn't entertain emotional chaos. She becomes the kind of woman whose absence has more power than her presence ever could. She becomes the kind of woman who is missed, not manipulated, admired, not used, respected, not played. And the beautiful part is this: when she disconnects early from what is wrong, she creates space for what is right. She stops wasting her heart on temporary people. She stops burning her energy on unstable connections. She stops carrying emotional weight that never belonged to her. She becomes lighter, clearer, wiser, and she naturally attracts someone who values her because she no longer entertains those who don't. A woman who can quietly walk away at the first sign of disrespect or inconsistency is a woman no one can mislead, confuse, or control. She has mastered the art of protecting her heart before it breaks. And that is the highest form of strength a woman can ever reach. There comes a time in a woman's life when she finally understands that her heart is precious, her peace is sacred, and her soul is not a place for confusion. She stops chasing clarity from people who only give chaos. She stops begging for love from hearts that are too empty to offer it. She stops trying to prove her worth to someone who was blind to it from the beginning. She rises, not by becoming harder, but by becoming wiser. You are stepping into that version of yourself now. The version who doesn't fall for sweet words because she studies actions. The version who doesn't rush connection because she trusts time. The version who doesn't depend on validation because she knows her value deeply. The version who doesn't get blinded by charm because she observes character. The version who doesn't debate her standards because she honors her worth quietly. The version who disconnects early because she loves herself enough to not stay where she is treated poorly. This is your transformation, the soft, powerful shift that happens inside a woman when she decides to choose herself. You are not becoming cold, you are becoming clear. You are not becoming distant, you are becoming selective. You are not becoming difficult, you are becoming aligned with what you deserve. You are not losing people, you are losing the people who were never meant to stay. And the beautiful truth is, once you rise into this version of yourself, everything around you changes. Your relationships become healthier, your standards become stronger, your intuition becomes sharper, your heart becomes safer. You attract people who are consistent, not confusing, people who are honest, not manipulative, people who value loyalty, not games. You attract the love that matches your growth. You are stepping into a chapter where no one can mislead you, no one can manipulate you, and no one can dim your light. Because you finally see yourself clearly. You finally understand your worth deeply. And you finally stand in a strength that is soft, feminine, and unshakable. This is you becoming the woman you were always meant to be, the woman who chooses herself without apology, who walks away without fear, who loves without losing herself, and who stands in her worth with quiet, unstoppable power. This is your rise. Embrace it